The name of the Philippines is a truncated form of the Philippine Islands, derived from the King Philip II of Spain in the 16th century. During the expedition of Ruy Lopez de Villalobos to the islands, Spanish sailor Bernardo de la Torre used the name Las Islas Filipinas in honor of the then Prince of Asturias, originally referring to the islands of Leyte and Samar. Despite the presence of other names, the name Filipinas was eventually adopted as the name of the entire archipelago. The official name of the Philippines, however, has changed throughout the course of its history. During the Philippine Revolution, the state officially called itself República Filipina, now referred to as the First Philippine Republic. From the period of the Spanish-American War and the Philippine-American War until the Commonwealth, United States colonial authorities referred to the Philippines as the Philippine Islands, a direct translation of the original Spanish. It was during the American period that the name Philippines began to appear, a name that was officially adopted. Historical names. Ma'i. According to the Tsoraguas Ifoans written around 1225 AD during the Song dynasty. According to this, there was a group of islands found in southern South China Sea called Ma'i. The island groups were later invaded and renamed and identified by the Spanish to be the island of Mindoro. This was further proved by Ferdinand Blumentritt in his 1882 book, Besuchina Ethnographie der Philippinen, that Ma'i, which means country of the blacks, was the Chinese local name of present-day Mindoro. On the other hand, historians claim that Ma'i was not an island, but all the south of South Sea Islands groups in Manila itself, which was known to be the Chinese settlements and in constant contact with the China government as early as the 9th century CE and earlier. Ma'i consists of the Za Nzhau group of islands, Kia Mayen, Ba La Yang and Pa Ki Nung. Aside from Za Nzhau, Ma'i also consists of the islands of Pai Puyen, Pulilu, Lim Kia Tung, Liu Sung and Li Ban. It was said that these islands had contacts with Chinese traders from Canton as early as 982 AD. Liu Sung was the name given by the Chinese to the present-day island of Luzon, originated from the Tagalog word lusong, a wooden mortar that is used to pound rice. When the Spanish produced maps of the Philippines during early 17th century, they called the island Lua Section Onaya, which was later respelled as Luzonia, then Luzon. Las Islas de San Lazaro. Named by Ferdinand Magellan in 1521 when he reached the islands of Humunan in the island of Samar at the feast day of St. Lazarus of Bethany. Las Islas de Ponient. Another name from Ferdinand Magellan in 1521 when he learned that the Las Islas de San Lazaro also included Cebu and Leyte Islands. However, various sources claim that Magellan was not the one who renamed the area, but his chroniclers instead. The name came from the fact that the islands were reached from Spain en route approaching the left part of the globe. Conversely, the Portuguese called the archipelago Ilhas do Oriente because they approached the islands from the east of Portugal in late 1540s. The Portuguese referred the whole island of Luzon as Ilhas Luapicavolt Micrones, or Luzon's Islands. Mindanao was formerly called Ilhas de Licaos Celebes because of the existence of Celebes Sea south of Mindanao. Las Islas Filipinas. Named by Ruy Lopez de Villalobos in 1543 to Samar and Leyte, honoring the Prince of Asturias, the then Philip II of Spain. Caesarea Caroli was the name given by Villalobos to the island of Mindanao when he reached the sea near it. This was named after the Charles V of the Holy Roman Empire. The island of Sarangani was renamed by Villalobos as Antonia, in honor of Antonio de Mendoza y Pacheco, the Viceroy of New Spain who commissioned Villalobos' expedition to the Philippines. Villalobos also named the littoral zone between the islands of Samar and Leyte as Tendaya. Las Islas Filipinas, or simply Filipinas. Vernacular piracy of Las Islas Filipinas, irrevocably became the archipelago's name. Pearl of the Orient seizes the sobriquet of the Philippines. The term originated from the idea of Spanish Jesuit missionary Fr. Juan J. Delgado in 1751. In his last poem Mia el Timo Adiacube des, Dr. Joseph Copyright Rizal referred the country with this name. In the 1960 revision of the Philippine national anthem Lupang Inirang, The Tagalog version of this phrase was included as the translation from the original Spanish. The Philippine Islands. This was the anglicized version of the original Spanish name, used under direct American colonial rule in the immediate Commonwealth era. Proposed names: Herringbine Catagulagan. Andrew Copyright S. Bonificio's suggested name for the Filipino nation, intended to be governed by the 1896 to 1897 República ng Catagulagan. This was later used by Macario Sakay for his 1902 to 1906 government that was suppressed by the Americans. Kapatiran, or its semi-equivalent Katipunan. Luz Verminda. Portmanteau of the first syllables of the country's three major island groups, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Appears more nowadays as a dated female given name. Maharlika. In pre-Hispanic Philippines, the Maharlika was the noble warrior class whose members were essentially the same as the common man, albeit with the duty to serve the ruler in battle. The word Maharlika is derived from Sanskrit word Mahadhika, which means nobility. In 1978, former President Ferdinand Marcos supported a House bill mandating the country's renaming to Maharlika. Rosalia. Named after national hero Jose. Copyright Rizal in a similar fashion to Bolivia being named after its hero. While exiled in Japan, former Revolutionary General Artemio Ricart proposed the name República Rizalina and had already drafted a constitution for this attempt at a revolutionary government. Disputed names: Manuelas. According to Fr. Francisco Colin in 1663, a Jesuit friar and an early historian of the Philippines, Manuelas was the name used by Claudius Ptolemy to refer to the group of islands south of China. Colin quoted Ptolemy's writings speaking about the Manuelas Islands, which is probably Manila. This theory was further supported by Jose. Copyright Rizal and Pedro A. Patino. Rizal also said that the country was recorded to Ptolemy's maps when a sailor named Hippolytus told him the existence of beautiful islands in southeastern Far East. However, Trinidad Pardo de Tavera rejected this notion on his 1910 book, Notas para una cartografía de Filipinas. Ophir is a region of islands mentioned in the Bible, most famous for its wealth. Accounts mention that King Solomon received the riches of the region every 3 years. At the emergence of the hydrography of Spanish colonies in Asia in the early 17th century, Dominican Gregorio Garca wrote that Ophir was indeed located in the Moluccas and the Philippines. In 1609, Juan de Pineda wrote a diverse collection of literature relating biblical accounts of Solomon, Ophir and the islands. Former Prime Minister Pedro A. Patino said in one of his works on conjectural anthropology that Ophir is the Philippines because the scented wood Solomon received from Ophir also exists in the islands. This notion was, however, later dismissed by modern historians as merely alluding and comparing the Philippines' position to the Spanish economy with that of Ophir to Solomon's kingdom, the sudden discovery and colonization of the islands bringing wealth and prosperity to the realm. Torre was an ancient kingdom in Southeast Asia reached by explorer Ibn Battuta. He reached a kingdom when he left Sumatra and headed towards China. According to the historical accounts of the explorer, he met Aduja, a legendary warrior princess from Pangasinan. However, according to William Henry Scott, Torre and its warrior princess Aduja are fabulous, fairy tale, fiction. Provincial name. Name in other languages. Given that it has 2 official languages, the country also possesses 2 official names as stated in the 1987 Constitution. In Filipino, it is officially called República ng Pilipinas, while it is named the Republic of the Philippines in English. When standing alone in English, the country's name is always preceded by the article the. However, the definite article and does not precede the name in Filipino contexts. The Commission on the Filipino Language and National Artist, Virgilio S. Armerio urges the use of Filipinas as the country's official name to reflect its origin and history. Unlike Ireland, which uses the name Air Ireland to identify itself in international meeting, the English name usually appears to identify the Philippines in this setting. This is also the tradition even if the meeting is held within the country's boundary. In many Philippine languages such as Tagalog, Pilipinas is used, while some other languages, including Ilocano, use Filipinas. Though the name Philippines is the official name that is used by the country's government for international and domestic businesses, numerous major languages of the world still use their own translation or transliteration of the name Philippines to refer to it. See also, Catalogo Alphabetico de Apellidos, Filipino, Juan de la Cruz, Philippine name, Epistle to the Philippians, Greece, references. Printed sources, Cooley, William Desborough, The History of Maritime and Inland Discovery 2, Longmana, De Morga, Antonio, History of the Philippine Islands Vols 1 and 2, Kessinger Publishing, ISBN A978-1-4191-2427-3 and ISBN 978-1-4191-2427-3. Originally published by Antonio de Morga as Sucesos de las Islas Filipinas in 1609, reprinted by Kessinger Publishing in 2004. Duke R. C. Philippine History, Rex Bookstore, ISBN A978-971-23-3934-9 and ISBN 978-971-23-3934-9, Guerrero, Milagros. Encarnacion, Emmanuel. Villegas, Ramon, Andres Bonifacio and the 1896 Revolution, Suliap Cultura One, Guerrero, Milagros. Schumacher, John, Reform and Revolution, Casasen, The History of the Filipino People 5, Asia Publishing Company Limited, ISBN A972-962-258-228-6, Halilai, M.C., Struggle for Freedom, Rex Bookstore, ISBN A978-971-23-5045-0 and ISBN 978-971-23-5045-0. Herth, Friedrich. W. W. Rockhill, Xiaozhu Kui, his work on the Chinese and Arab trade in the 12th and 13th centuries entitled Chu Fan Chi, Imperial Academy of Science Caesar, Keat, Jinui, Southeast Asia, A Historical Encyclopedia, from Anquat East Timor, ABC Clio, ISBN A978-1-57607-770-2 and ISBN 978-1-57607-770-2, Moaz, Rizal B., Brains of the Nation, Pedro Patino, Th. Pardo de Tavera, Isabel Loda. Los Reyes, and the Production of Modern Knowledge, Ateneo de Manila University Pressa, Scott, William Henry, Barangay, 16th Century Philippine Culture and Society, PA 6, ISBN A978-971-550-135-4 and ISBN 978-971-550-135-4. ISBN 978-971-550-135-4, Scott, William Henry, Pre-Hispanic Source Materials for the Study of Philippine History, ISBN A971-10-0227-2. Sheehan, Kevin Joseph, Iberian Asia, The Strategies of Spanish and Portuguese Empire Building, 1540-1700, ProQuest, ISBN A978-1-109-09710-8 and ISBN 978-1-109-09710-8, Spate, O. H. Christian, The Spanish Lake, Taylor and Francis A. Tope, Lily Rose R. Dech P. Noonan Mercado. Philippines. Marshall Cavendish Reference Books. ISBN A978-0-7614-1475-9. Truxillo, Charles, By the Sword and the Cross, The Historical Evolution of the Catholic World Monarchy in Spain and the New World, 1492-1825, Greenwood Publishing Group, ISBN A978-0-313-31676-0 and ISBN 978-0-313-31676-0.